What you are about to hear, ladies and gentlemen, is an interview with Blythe Baines. Check out her music. It's all over the place. By the way, you're listening to Inspirado Projecto. This is Kurt Clendenin. You can find this podcast on Spotify, TuneIn, CastBox, Podcast Republic, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Breaker, Streaker, Stitcher, Blueberry, Podchaser, Podknife, all kinds of places. We'll just put it that way. All kinds of places. Check out Blythe's music. Here we are. We're at Bob's Big Boy in Burbank, which is where David Lynch used to hang out every day at 2:30 to drink his milkshakes and coffee and write like a maniac. And it turns out that she used to do the same thing. At 2:30 at night, she'd just go over there and write. So here we go. Here's the interview. It cuts off at the end there. But have no fear, part 2 will be on a separate podcast. So, here we go. Chock full of synchronicities. Blythe Baines. So, it's so beautiful. Yeah, so Neville Goddard. How do you pronounce his name?
Goddard.
Yeah,
I think it's Goddard.
So, I love that guy because he's so excited and always just so in awe of imagination. Like, he's just so excited about just how powerful it is. And then when he starts sharing his examples of things that, I tell you, I was thinking of this thing, and I told my friend, you quit this job, you'll get a job for $25 more. He said that would not happen. And within a week, he had that job. And I'm like, and you're listening to this guy and how excited he is and how he's just so, he's like, this is just how it is, man. It's your imagination. And like,
and when you're a conscious manifester and you're really also taking care of your energy, this kind of stuff can happen so quickly. Like, it can just happen like in a snap of a finger.
Oh yeah. It's great because when, the less resistance to it, it's such an interesting thing because, like, the less resistance to it, the quicker it can come to you.
Oh, exactly. It's
so
kind of
you're
like
just
a rubber band. Like, when you let it go, it snaps out. You know what I mean? It's like it's like a mirror.
Yes. And what's interesting is, I especially notice that when you get one or two or more people together excited about these kinds of concepts and talking about them. Like today, I already know that there's going to be either someone who walks in that we know, or someone, oh my gosh, it's you, or well, I just heard your song and there she is. There's going to be something that happens that is just going to the synchronicity is going to be flowing because I think like. Because the universe is here with us, and it realizes how excited we are about it showing its presence.
No, exactly.
It's gonna be like, all right,
we're
ready.
Emitting that frequency of just the excitement, the joy, and the appreciation.
Yes.
For all that it is, because it's when you think about it, it's the source of all creation, and it's just wild. Like, nothing is impossible. Everything is possible through it, and that's what's so amazing. That with your own imagination, your mind, especially if the desire is coming from your soul, it can manifest so quickly.
And I think that thing is that when you have that epiphany, when you're really excited about something, it's been said that's a representation of basically a tiny sliver of what it's like to basically touch source as we know it. To that beautiful of just all that is, that love and all that vibrancy and all the possibilities that are there. And when we feel excited and we feel joy, that's us getting a peak. It's like going, there it is. Oh, there it is. How wide are you going to keep that open, and how long are you going to keep that open?
No, I honestly wish that a lot of churches would be less serious and more, excited about God, because what God is really just this. It's like a frequency. It's the source of all creation, and it's just joy, love, happiness, all the good emotions all in one. Like, that is what God is. And so I wish that people would understand that and realize that it's something to celebrate. It's not something to feel bad about, because when you get into those really low vibrational negative emotions, like, that's not God anymore. That's separation from that. That's like really delving into the ego. So it's it's just beautiful to be able to be at the point in my life where I recognize that the closer you get to your soul, the closer you get to God and the source of all creation. So it's really, really a fun place to be.
Because it seems like with your music and everything, you really follow your intuition. You really simply just follow your intuition. Whatever messages are, coming through the pipeline, you're just saying yes to it and letting it kind of come through, right?
No,
like
exactly.
It's more like channeling in a sense.
When I go into sessions, I'll usually just tell Carter, and I work with a couple different producers, but Carter is definitely the one that I work with most. I'll just tell him, like, hey, I'm feeling this kind of vibe, and he'll start, putting a beat together, and then I'll have an idea, and I'll be like, okay, this is what it is. And so with Devout, that was kind of my song that was, sort of my tribute to Source, to God, whatever we want to call it. Like, I was like, I feel like I have to make this because it's something that's so prevalent in my life, and it's, I recognize it around me every single day. It's in everything because, when you're at that level of perception, you recognize it in everything. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to make this song. And it turned out so well. And I was like, I was honestly such a perfectionist about that song in specific because I'm like, this is my song, like, to God. I really need it to be perfect. And so we took our time on, like, really refining it, and then we got it out. And the response has been really nice so far for that one. So I've been so happy about that.
It's great. It's a beautiful celebration of just all that is, of this wonderful source that's been giving you all the songs and all of the ideas and all the imagination you've had up until now and will continue to have. And here you're going, you're celebrating it. You're going, here you go. We're going to just put you out there. It's like you're, it's like one of those t-shirt cannons or something. You're putting it funk and you're shooting it out there into the audience. It's great.
And the cool thing about music is, like, music is literally like frequency and vibration. Like, that's what it is. So when you're releasing that into the universe, it really does come back because, as we know, everything we put out comes back to us. And so I really feel like, me talking about this stuff in my music really helps it come back into my life stronger.
Time. Yeah. Big time. I mean, that's beautiful because that's like, it's been said that spelling it's like spell casting.
Yeah.
So you're casting spells, you're casting these spells. And what better spells to cast than ones that are celebrating Source, than the ones that are, you're going, look, the answers are within you. It's a cooperative relationship going on here.
No, exactly.
It's so funny. I've often said that I believe more in the invisible than I believe in the visible because there's a lot more invisible than there is visible. So I might as well get to be really good friends with the invisible. I might as well figure out how to do that.
Like, our eyes can only pick up so much, and there's literally just all this stuff that's going on that we can't even see because we're not yet at the level to see it. And some people get there in their human lifetimes, but some might not. It just kind of all depends on how much you're willing to open your mind, I feel like, because, I really think that, for example, in Iceland, they believe that elves are real, and, like, there's so many people who say
and they see
that
them.
they've seen elves. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so the belief in it is literally enough for that to enter their lives.
How beautiful is that? It's like as if their eyes are I mean, it's crazy. They're going elves, and then the elves appear.
Yep.
The elves appear. I mean, how beautiful is that? Like, if we were taught more and more in that respect of going, look, number one, your imagination is so powerful and is right there with you and you're willing to go yes to whatever you're giving it. And number two, when you enhance that and you realize just how powerful that is, how many... I mean, gosh, let's say if everyone here really agreed to seeing a unicorn on the corner of that street, who's to say that thing wouldn't appear there?
Yeah.
Because it's going, oh, you see me. I might as well make myself visible for you now that you see me. It's that idea of seeing, believing is seeing. You believe it and then you see it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I really believe that, you have to embody the vibration of something before you see it in your life. And so... I think that whatever you want to manifest, like, if you have the feeling of having that thing, if you really, like, hold on to the feeling and you, like, see it in your mind's eye, and I would say, like, see it from first person perspective instead of, seeing yourself, like, as if you were, like, a movie or something.
Oh, right.
Because it really is, like, imprinting on your brain. The imagination has the ability to do that. But yeah, belief is such an amazing thing. It really is.
And it's great when you start, like, when you come from that perspective, to call back something you said earlier, you come from that perspective that, you know, if we were to play with the idea that all this stuff, you, these people, all this, you know, everything, me, everything is a reflection of one another, then you can really start to harness that a lot easier in your favor, right? Oh, a little bit of time, please. Because there's this exercise. Have you heard of Bashar, the channel? Okay, so he has this thing called the transformative shifting exercise. Have you seen that before? It's a cube. Let's see. I think I got it on my phone. I downloaded this because I do this, you know, when I'm on the train, when I'm on the and I got to tell you, this thing really enhances. It's supposed to help you see into the next dimension. So you basically, like this thing here, you say 4 times. You say, I desire to define my dedication to detachment. And you start at the top and you follow it with your eyes, but you look at it in a 3-dimensional way, as if it's actually a cube looking at you. And you follow it with your eyes, joop, 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 till you come to the middle, you know, because it's pointing out at you. And right there, you're thinking about, the first thing was desire. So you're thinking desire. And whatever ideas, whatever, you know, images you get, and then until you think you've had enough, then you go all the way back out. Define, then you go define, you know, and then you go dedicate. Okay, what am I dedicating myself to? And then what am I detaching myself from? So you go into each of these things. So you're zooming in on each of these things. Then there's this little thing here called the enigmatic circuit. Now each of these are symbols for something. So after you do that, then you go into the middle and you go from the inner being through sights, sound, touch, and feeling, are manifested through the paths, windows, and doors to the unknown, which lead back to the inner being. So what you're doing is, you're going, okay, no matter what kind of way that the universe wants to communicate with me, that's me communicating with myself.
Yep.
And I'm coming to the agreement now that that I'm totally aware of the fact that my intentions are coming to me through all of these things. And what's so crazy is, the more you do that, and the more you write when you wake up, you write down your dreams, and then and as you write down your synchronicities, right, and they come to you, holy moly, the synchronicities I noticed would start coming in so fast, and it was like I'd be in the middle of writing down a synchronicity, and all of a sudden, you know, I might say something about, you know, and then as I'm talking to him, there was a bang outside and all of a sudden a bang actually happens outside as I'm writing down a synchronicity. So then I go in parentheses and I write about that synchronicity that happened while writing down this synchronicity. So it became this stacked thing.
Yeah, no, that kind of stuff happens to me all the time. Like, I literally write down most of my synchronicities because of it, and it's amazing just looking back at them and being like, holy cow, this was connected in this kind of way, because, you know, when you're looking back at something, you can find all this stuff that you missed during the moment, because, you know, it's like we don't know the grand plan of things. It's, you know, I mean, we can, you know, put out everything, but the way that the universe constructs everything, it's, you know, it's a mystery to us until we see it unfold.
And it gives us, it's so beautiful, is it gives us extra little added details that we didn't anticipate, and it enhances it even more. And I've realized the importance, the big time importance of when that dream evolves in front of us, to really make sure that we celebrate the fact that it's happening. Because what was the point in even dreaming that dream in the first place if we're not going to celebrate its existence when it occurs?
Yeah, you got to be so present for it. And the funny thing is, like, everything that I've had manifest for me, I realized, like, most of the big stuff, it's been when I've been, like, really present, and when I've, like, accepted, you know, a moment that, you know, sometimes you'll be, like, taken on an adventure and you're like, you know, what am I doing here? But the point is to really get present and be appreciative and say, like, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm in for the adventure, and see where it takes you. And so many times I've had those kinds of experiences take me straight to what I've put out, and I'm just like, holy cow, it's just uncanny. It really is just insane how it all comes together.
And it's so fun too that when you write down those synchronicities, you can actually see. I love it because the universe. It's like the universe is giving us all of these gifts, all of these delicious nuggets, and when you write them down, you can actually see right there how the breadcrumbs were formed and how that domino knocked over that domino and how that thing went over this way and how that Rube Goldberg machine went this way. We thought it went way out of the way, but we had to go through that little detour to come across this interesting troll creature that we didn't realize existed who gave us this information now.
Exactly.
And it's like, during those times, we have to remember, like, oh my God, this is part of the process. Yeah, this wasn't a part of my original imagination, because how could you ever anticipate such detours? You can never anticipate such detours. So realizing, okay, this is part of the process. Who knows what kind of interesting things are going to evolve here.
Well, and I really think it is the journey and not the destination, and that's the important thing to kind of like realize and accept, because, you know, if you're finding the joy in the journey, that's like the ultimate win.
Yeah.
And coming at things from that perspective, you'll just be given, you know, all the most amazing things, like all the things that you want to manifest will manifest so easily when you find that joy in every single moment. Like, you know, sometimes I find myself just at home, like, you know, sitting, being like, oh, like, you know, what is there to do? And then I'm like, wait, no, I need to realize that it's amazing that I'm even alive.
Yeah.
And when I get into that whole state of mind, everything just starts aligning, and it really is, you know, a perception. Alignment is your perception being at that level that's like closest to source perception of just, you know, everything is perfect. And everything is like working together like a machine. And when you are at that level of perception, you see it around you. Like, you know, you'll just see it everywhere. Even, you know, you'll see synchronicities for other people around you, and you'll just be like, this is so beautiful and perfect, and everything is working together. Like, you know, like how when you see a flock of birds in the sky and they're all synchronized, it's kind of like that. Like, you know, synchronization amongst humans, because we've gotten rid of all these, you know, thoughts that are controlling us, these negative thoughts that are controlling us, and we really surrender to the present moment. And when we're doing that, we see the perfect order of all things.
Yes. I got to ask you this question, because usually those that I'm talking to who have this higher perspective, this higher mindset, and it's beautiful. Okay, so do you watch television?
I don't have cable at home. I have a TV, but I have just like an Amazon Fire Stick. So
okay.
Yeah.
That confirms it. Okay, so that's beautiful. Okay, so like I haven't watched official television, you know, in I don't know how many years, and so I watched TV. I watch entertainment based on where my heart is wanting to take me. So whether it's Netflix, whether it's, you know, Amazon Fire Stick, something like that, where I'm choosing what the programming is that I want. Not that it's all just there and I'm going, oh, this is what's on TV, and I know that it's going to be infested with the propaganda and the matrix that's being, you know, the limited thing. And I realized that by staying away from that, what does that do to your mind?
Yeah,
it really allows you, and you get more in tune with your own intuition, instead of what the news is telling you is a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
so
what this
much
thing.
of the news is honestly fear-based. Like, they're just saying, you know, oh, like, this person's awful, that person's awful, and it's like, you know, it doesn't even give you your own ability to make up your mind, do your own research. It's just listening to an opinion and just seeing all the bad things in the world. And I don't think it's healthy for any human to see that much negativity that often. Because, you know, like back in the day before everything was connected through internet and through television, like all that, back in the day, you know, the only times that we would see, you know, death is if someone like in our tribe or in our city, if they died, and we would experience that sadness. But now we're living in a world where every single day there's a new person dead on like Yahoo News, on CNN, like every single day. And it's putting people in that state of like mourning all the time for all these people, when usually, and you know, obviously it is sad, but usually, you know, if we weren't living in that connected of a world where we could just see this information so quickly all the time, it wouldn't really affect us in the same kind of way.
That's a great way of putting it.
And yeah, for the mental well-being of a person, it's really, I don't think it's a positive thing to be surrounding yourself with that all the time.
because this is the information that, you know, a majority of people are waking right up. Bam, they wake right up. The first thing that they're seeing is just this like, it's like the dump truck comes up.
Yep.
And then they wake right up and they're just smashed with all this, and then that becomes their dialogue throughout the whole day.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's like lazy man's. It's like the lazy person's way of communication. You just go, oh, did you hear on the news? Oh, did you, you know? Oh, this commercial. Oh, this, you know. And it's like it's pulling from some sort of thing that's trying to tether everyone together in a specific kind of mindset, yet dividing everyone at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's like I have the most enlightening conversations with people who are, you know, the philosophers, are the journalists, are the people who are writing down their synchronicities, the people who are, you know, in their imagination all the time. These are the most dynamic people. And, you know, to be able to showcase more of that is, I think, really worth it. That's why I love being able to have, you know, a podcast or radio show, to be able to showcase these people and go, okay, you know what? We have enough left brain, you know, downtrodden stuff that's out there in the world. Let's try to at least balance it out with some good vibes and stuff that can help empower people to start investigating the reasons behind why they're doing certain things, because it can get really jumbled up in there. There's a great phrase that says, oh God, how does it go? It's like, how can I ever tell what thoughts are my own?
Yeah.
Because even the stuff that I'm talking to you about, I heard someone else say, but then I experimented with it on myself.
Well, and it's,
you know?
We're like radios. We're like, you know, we have our antennas on and we set our vibration. We're picking up on other thoughts of that same vibration. And, you know, I've had it happen so often where I'll just like hear a word in my head and I'm like, I don't know like what the point of that is. And then someone will say it and it's just, I'm like, that's so crazy. And it really is kind of like, you know, a little psychic moment. But, you know, I think it's just people on like that similar level, they'll attract to each other in real life. They'll be like around each other and they'll be thinking some of the same thoughts.
And it's beautiful too, because, okay, so those who are like the mindsets that are concerned about following their own intuition, what's so beautiful is this person's following their intuition, this person's following their intuition. And I'm not talking about, you know, I'm talking about like getting rid of over-critiquing, over-analysis. I'm talking about just simply following their intuition. And what's so beautiful is, like, following their intuition, they're going deeper into themselves, which is basically accessing the information of all that is. And those people, it's so beautiful because those that I've talked with who are following their intuition, we're all in harmony. It's freaking beautiful. Even though this person is following their own intuition, this person, but it turns out that it's all for the idea of wanting to have harmony, to have an ensemble, you know, to have synchronicity.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful because when you can get on that level with people, when you're in that brainstorming session where there are no bad ideas, just unexplored ideas, and someone goes, ooh, I have this idea, and you go, let's explore that further. And all of a sudden, that person explores a little further, and you realize, bam, they say something that then relates to what this person was just talking about 20 minutes ago before this person arrived, and you go, aha, yes, we knew it. We knew that somehow this thing was connected. And I love being able to give the universe that opportunity to show itself to us.
It's amazing because when you're at that level, you see how much everything really is one. Like, you know, how we treat others, it's, you know, it's honestly like how we're treating ourselves, because this whole thing is one. So what we are doing to others, we are doing to ourselves, and that's the most, like, one of the most profound realizations that I've had.
I love the fact that you say that, because so you know, the golden rule.
Mm-hmm.
I was, you know, you taught the golden rule: treat others how you want to be treated. It's very simple, you know. Just be, you know, having that consideration, and it's interesting because I think that is a big time. What you just said is like a main thing that ought to be taught. That talk about like having a good life where you know everyone here is following that golden rule.
Yeah.
You know that there's just enough space for everybody. There's no competition. No one's trying to like knock down another person for, you know, to be king of the mountain or whatever. Just realizing there's plenty of abundance for everybody.
Yeah. And when you're coming at things with that perspective, you know, there really is that abundance for everyone. And it's like, you know, we just have to get rid of the mental limitations that are saying like, oh, you know, I can only have this if this person doesn't have this. No, there's a way for everyone to be in harmony. And it's just, it's an incredible thing to realize, is that everyone's kind of in charge of their own vibrational set point. And that's honestly one of the biggest responsibilities that I think everyone has, like as a human being, is to really take control of their mind, like learn how it works, program it properly, because just everyone in your reality is kind of being affected in a way by what's going on internally.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And how crazy is that? Even like right now in this restaurant, the people way over there might not understand what we're talking about, but the vibes of what we're sort of chiseling away here, and allowing that source to kind of take over. Who knows how it's affecting this entire populace in here, and how many other people are being woken up because it feels that spirit. It's going. Boop, 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 boop. It's interesting. It's interesting how the more that you talk about this stuff, especially in an open environment, I think it enables people to remember those aspects about themselves, and then that light turns on. They go, oh, I recognize that. Like, oh, that's right. I'm a completely astounding, limitless spiritual being that's just hanging out in this avatar in this video game body right now.
Yep.
And it's great when those revelations, just go keep popping on like that.
Yeah, no, it's like the craziest thing. This is like a video game, and it's like a choose your own adventure video game, because I don't know, like I've had just so many random things that I've written out manifest. Like there's this lake, and I wanted to see the lake because it's gated, and I like wrote it down. I was like, I'll get into the lake, like, this is gonna happen somehow. I convinced my friends to come with me, and it was like 11:15 p.m. at night, and she and I were like standing outside of this gate. We were trying to get it in. Like we had the old code because my friend had it, but it wasn't working. And then these guys start walking out, and they see us, and they say, like, you can only come in if you have a code. And I said, oh, we have the old code. And they're like, too bad. And then I just have this idea, and I'm like, I have this friend named Paxton McMurray, and I'm like, do you know the McMurrays? And one of the guys said they were my next door neighbors. And I'm like, well, I'm really good friends with the McMurrays.
Oh.
And so they're like, and you guys aren't trying to smoke weed in here or anything? We're like, no, not at all. We're just like literally trying to see the lake. And they're like, okay, come on in. And then they say, do you want a tour of the lake in our boat? They take us out on their boat around the lake. And I was like, this is insane, because I told my friend, I was like, it's going to happen. We're going to get into the lake. It's a gated lake, with a code. And somehow we ended up getting invited into the lake, got a boat tour. It was really, really something.
It was great because you were open up to it. How cool is that to know that all those realities exist? And it's up to whether or not we want to allow for that reality to make itself visible or not.
And, I think all it takes to open a door is really to open your mind. And when your mind is open to all the possibilities, the door is just open for you.
It's cool because you're gaining, by opening up the door, you're gaining who knows how many little secret passages and how many other doors and how many other portals to other multiverses that you never even realized were there.
It's like all these things are just branching out, and that's why I like to kind of switch things up often and do things that I wouldn't normally do, just to get myself out of autopilot. Because when you're really conscious of, humans, they have habits. A lot of us do the same things over and over again. But when we realize that we need to make a change to see a change, if we're not, happy with something, if we're bored with something, then the answer is to make a change.
Yeah.
And so I find it amusing when I make just random changes and see what they affect in my everyday life.
It's awesome. It's that's part of the fun. That's one of the most exciting parts, is allowing yourself to be the experiment. Allowing yourself, because it's like, it's a scientific method. You're choosing to make yourself this thing that's in the petri dish. So you're going, okay, here's my hypothesis, here's my theory, here's my idea. Let's carry this out. Let's say, what better thing to experiment with than me? So, okay, let's try it. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're documenting all this stuff is just great, because then when you make that change, you're documenting that. Okay, bam, now let's see how let's see how this reverberates. And then you can come in later and go, bam, that's how that reverberated. But I would have never found that thing if I didn't try this thing. If I didn't go,
and I realized it's so important to have evidence for like all this stuff, or to have a friend that can say, yeah, this happened, because some of it is so unbelievable, and it really is like a testament to like what is possible. And so I'm like, okay, I really do need to document this stuff, because I want to share it with people, and I want people to see that when you're connected to source, God, the divine, whatever we want to call it, like when you are connected to that, just things are different, and things are honestly a lot better. Things are a lot more fun. So yeah,
a lot easier flowing, right?
Yeah.
A lot easier going. Things
I want people to be able to experience that, because I've been in those, more low vibrational states, and I'm like, I don't want to be in that. I don't want anyone to have to, live that kind of life, because it's so much more beautiful when you're at that higher perspective, and when you're just living this life where you understand the connectedness of all things.
Yes.
It really gives life purpose and meaning, and I think that's what a lot of people need, is to feel like they understand things, to feel like there's a meaning, to feel like there's a reason for all this kind of stuff happening. And when you really connect, you see the reasons. You see the way that the internal becomes external. You see which ways you need to like correct yourself in, and it's the coolest thing.
It's great because it's no different than like Thomas Edison, trying to figure out, okay, what filament is going to be the thing that turns on a light. And that's the thing, because you're following the inspiration, because you're following the intuition. That's the funny thing is that when you're taking into consideration that idea that, okay, all of this, and you kind of look at it like it's a map, like, okay, here we started this little domino thing, it's going this way, going that way, and you're looking at how it's all unfolding. And when you have that sort of that prophecy in your brain, like you were saying with the lake, you already saw it happening.
Yeah.
You already envisioned it happening. And then the universe kind of just, all you had to do was make that first move, and then the universe filled in the blanks between here and there.
Yep, exactly.
And then it showed all you had to do is just follow your intuition.
Yep.
That's all you had to do. You didn't have to try to like overly craft some kind of thing, or like, okay, should we all dress in black? Should we hop over the fence? How are we gonna, geez, do we have any wire cutters? You didn't have to worry about any of those things.
I got in totally legally.
Yeah, there's no forcing involved. It was purely, wow, here it is.
Yeah, and right place, right time. It was amazing that there were even people out that late on the lake, because I don't know, I just haven't seen anyone at that time around there ever before. Like, just happening to be coming out. It was just crazy.
Oh my God. And it's great because when you have those examples, that then inspires you to do more of that similar thing.
Because you see that it really is possible. So you're like, wait, now I want this thing to happen, this thing, and you like put it down on a list, and then you forget about it, and then it happens. And I really have found that one huge thing is decreasing the importance of what you put out, because if you're making something really important, like I need this to be happy, you're putting it on a pedestal. You're saying that you're not happy already without it.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, so the key is to be happy in the present moment. Be like, I'm so happy just even to be alive. Have it out there, but put it out, really imagine it, and then kind of try to forget it, because the quicker you release it, the quicker it snaps into reality.
And that's so beautiful. It's so funny because I thought of it, that it makes me think of the carrier pigeon. So you give the carrier pigeon a little note. Oh, by the way, might I have more coffee? And also, can I have, do you know what you're getting?
Oh, I think I'm fine. I'm not really hungry yet.
You're not hungry at all?
No, I'm good with just my tea.
Oh my gosh. Can I just have some, just scrambled eggs, please?
Scrambled eggs?
Yes.
Home fries or high brown?
Can I have fries?
We have fries.
Oh yeah, can I have that?
Okay.
That
What
sounds
kind
good.
of sauce? White, wheat, sourdough, rice?
Wheat is good.
Wheat? Okay, sounds good.
You sure you don't want anything?
I'm
Wheat,
good.
scramble, and rice.
Okay, you're welcome. So it's interesting because it's like the carrier pigeon can't deliver the message until you let it go. And that's the thing too. I realize that the one receiving the message had better have a very clear idea as to what message you want them to receive. So in other words, you better write down those specific things that you want in that message. Because if it's just sort of a bland thing like, bake me a pie, and give me some liquid to drink. Well, that could mean anything, So they make you a mud pie, and it's like, okay, I'm sorry, a cheesecake pie and some coffee. Okay, here you go, and off it goes. So now there's more of a. Because like you're not gonna order food and then just leave it up to the chef to just like, oh, we'll just make you something. Okay, well I want scrambled eggs, I want this, and give that to the chef. Now I can just let him take care of it, and in the meantime, now I can dream up of other things to manifest.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what's so funny is while you're dreaming up those other things to manifest, before you know it, while you're in the middle of dreaming up this thing to manifest, all of a sudden this thing's done, and there it is. So it's this constant like just constant recycling kind of thing that's going on. And that momentum can keep flowing, and especially when you start banding together with more people, and they're all in that mindset.
Have you read Think and Grow Rich?
I haven't.
Okay, well, they have this idea of mastermind groups, and it's I think like 3 or more people getting together and envisioning things to manifest, and it's so powerful, honestly, because you have these like high vibrational beings coming together. Emitting this frequency, envisioning the same thing.
Oh my God.
Like, it's so powerful.
Oh my gosh. It's perfect because, especially like if you say 3, that's a magic number right there.
Yeah.
That's a pyramid, that's a trifecta,
Yeah, the Trinity, yeah.
That's like a little constellation right there. And so when you get those people, you're spinning the propeller, and you're just conjuring it up. God, I love how that works.
Yeah.
And especially when you get when you come together and you have those mindsets that are not like they're not immediately going to go to a limitation or a but what if this problem, because a lot of times it's interesting. You can tell the limited-minded folks by those who will go, but, or what would be better is, and you're going, well, okay, what if we were to just believe in whatever dream is unfolding now, and we just keep adding to it, and we just see how we just keep adding on to what's already there, not taking away anything, but just adding on to what's already there.
Well, and it's also important to realize that everything that you can, dream of, it's possible. Like, someone's done just, I don't know, like if you want to be a billionaire, someone's done that. Many people have done that in history. Mm-hmm. Like, so, you just have to kind of realize that it's these steps that, like, you gotta make it in your mind so that it's like, and with that kind of stuff, like, it is important to, like, put it out and realize that you can get there and everything, but seeing the steps of getting closer to something, that's a really good way to, like, break down the barriers in your mind, because a lot of people aren't ready to go from, like, 0 to 100 spiritually. So they need to, like, go from, like, 0 to 15 to 30, and then, up, climbing up the little ladder.
Fed little bits at a time,
so
exactly. They feel more and more secure with relying on the unknown.
Exactly. And so that's why it's so important to, kind of, with all this stuff, to realize that it is possible. And if you, like, lay down rough goals that are, like, steps on a ladder to your big goal, it can manifest so much more easily, because it's so much easier to believe that you can, if you have, like, $0 and you're like, I want to manifest $100, then you manifest $100, and then when you gain confidence in manifesting 100, you're like, okay, now I can do 1,000, and then from there you can do 10,000, all that, so it's just these steps.
Because then that thing that was once this thing that seemed like a far goal now becomes a commonplace thing.
Yeah, now
it's
you
like
have
a
faith
commonplace
in your own ability.
Yeah.
And, faith is something that builds. It's something that, has its own momentum. It's not something that most people are born at, like, 100 with. And I think it's, partially the world that we're kind of born into teaches us not to have that kind of faith in ourselves, teaches us to dream smaller than we should.
Oh, yeah. Oh, don't get your hopes up. We always hear about that. Oh, don't dream too big. We don't want you. Well, it's, if every kid was simply taught that there's plenty of abundance for every single one of their dreams.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the innovations that we would have out there in the world? You wouldn't have lawyers or doctors that are busy working and they're going, you know, I really actually always wanted to be a musician, and
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and I think the unfortunate thing is, you know, people who feel like they have to do a certain thing, who are kind of neglecting their passion, like you see it in their faces because they feel like the joy has kind of been drained out of them because they're not on their path, and therefore they're not close to God if they're not on their own path of, you know, happiness, which is really unfortunate. And so that's why I think, you know, everyone deserves to give the things that they love a shot, and everyone just deserves that for themselves, because I think it would be really, you know, difficult having to like live with going to a job every single day that you really hate, because then you're just, you know, in this negative thought loop, and you're just like, oh, I hate this, and this is not fun, and this is just, you know, a waste of time, like all this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think that, you know, a lot of people are in that whole world of just feeling trapped by life rather than feeling like they're in control of things.
Yeah, a little hamster wheel, huh?
And it's important for, you know, for everyone to kind of like take their power back, because, you know, we are conscious creators, and when we take that power back, that's, you know, that confidence and that level is the level at which we manifest.
It's amazing when to call back something you said about not giving things this big importance. Like you were saying about, okay, let's manifest $100, let's manifest 1,000. It's interesting because you get this idea that when we think of whatever the next level is, there's usually that image in our brains that the next level is like this thing that you gotta climb. You know, there's this mental thing that's, next thing, it's way up there.
But the next level is here now if we shift our perception to it.
And that's the beautiful thing, is being able to redefine how that is, where it's, okay, like you're saying, without that level of importance. Okay, so in other words, the next level doesn't necessarily have to have any more importance than whatever level you're on.
Yeah.
And the next level doesn't have to be harder to manifest into your life than, you know, let's say just wanting to manifest a salt and pepper into your life or something like that. Like, why is it easier for someone to believe that they can manifest maybe a salt and pepper or a coffee into their life? Why is that easier than, I don't know, than manifesting $1,000?
And it's because we put so much more importance and meaning on $1,000 and like no type of meaning on salt and pepper, and so salt and pepper can come into anyone's life just so easily.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? So wow. So it's altering that perspective, it's altering that definition, and choosing, you know, okay, now I'm thinking of this as $1 million. Easy to manifest $1 million. You manifested salt and pepper. You know, what's the difference in the energy? What's the difference in the spirit?
Well,
you know,
that's what I think really affluent people have gotten good at, is realizing that, you know, money is just a thing, just like anything else is a thing. And if they believe, you know, it's super easy for me to like bring in this much a day, then it happens and it keeps on happening. Because that's their base level of like, this is, you know, what I easily bring in every single day. So it just keeps on happening.
It becomes that commonplace. Wow. Now the interesting thing is to juggle along with that, the sort of commonplace things still feel, how should I put it? Still being grateful and appreciative of those things. Like even if we don't place that mental feeling of importance on it, see, that's the interesting thing. So so let's say, bam, you manifested $1 million. You appreciate it, you're excited about it, you're already thinking about the ways that, you know, you're maybe making a new music video, maybe you're making a movie, maybe you're whatever the thing is. still appreciating that, still being grateful to that.
Without putting it on a
Without
pedestal.
putting, yeah. So it's an interesting, it's like viewing it as an equal.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I think people need to realize in terms of like love and all that kind of stuff too, is, you know, if they put their partner on a pedestal, it distances themselves from them. And so, you know, the only way at which people can meet is like at that same equal level. And it's actually literally the same thing for manifesting everything, for manifesting money, for manifesting like, you know, your dream job, like all this kind of stuff. It really is just realizing that you are the same as it and you're like one with it. And I heard this really cool story, and it was like it was this Hindu story of this, I think it was Parvati and Shiva or whatever, and like one was like just so in love with like Parvati was like so in love with Shiva, and Shiva was like in this like meditative state and like wouldn't come out of it, and eventually Parvati, and I think I'm doing the names right, you might have to double check, eventually in meditation she realizes that like she is like already one with him, and then he like finally wakes up and they end
Once
up,
she realized she's already one with him.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, that's just such, you know, a profound story, because it's all about realizing that we are already one with what we want. And that's the whole I am thing, is like realizing that, you know, when we kind of, like, have you ever done the thing where you say like, you know, I am, until you kind of like lose your sense of self, and then you project something into your mind's eye, because that's like an insanely powerful technique.
No, tell me more about this.
It's just like, you know, you say I am, I am, until you feel like the consciousness of yourself has kind of like disappeared. So you say that, and then in that state of kind of being blank, you see it in your mind's eye, and being in that blank state, and that's why, you know, even transcendental meditation is so powerful, because I don't know if this is like bad to give away the secret of it or whatever, but, you know, you're using a non-word that, you know, doesn't have any kind of connections with it. You're repeating it until your mind kind of gets into that blank state, because it can't connect anything with a word that doesn't mean anything. And in that blank space, in that void, that's where the creation starts. That's where the creation comes from.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
And so it's really powerful to be able to kind of like, you know, reboot your internal system. Wow, that's cool, because I'm getting the image of like wood that's being sanded down. You're getting out all friction. You're making it smooth. You're blending yourself in with. So you're not this separate entity outside of this. You're like by saying I am, and I'm getting this image that all of a sudden it's like almost this mental image of like expanding more and more, where your mind is actually getting so big. Well, now it's everything. Yeah.
So there isn't this like, oh, I hope I get that thing that's way over there, or I hope someday I'll have that thing way over there. It's kind of like shortening the distance between it, huh?
Yeah. No, exactly.
So in those times where you've you know utilized that method, what are some interesting? Do you remember some of the examples of maybe some of the synchronicities that came along, or revelations that popped in your brain in these times where?
Like when I really like clear my mind before. I mean,
yeah. Whether you either using the I am, or you know, or meditating, or.
Oh gosh, there have been so many things. Literally, it's just like one after another. I've just I've had it before where, you know, I've put out, you know, the intention to work with producers that have produced certain artists, and like sure enough, they've ended up like wanting to work with me, like just finding me in the most random places, like
beautiful, all
this kind of stuff. And I just, oh gosh, so many things, literally so many things. You know, even it's crazy because I think people realize that whether or not they want to manifest something, they are not consciously, constantly manifesting so much in their realities, everything in their realities, based on what they focus attention on. So you got to be so aware of where your attention is going. If your attention is going towards, everything that's wrong in the world, all of that is literally going to show up in your life. Whereas if all your attention is going on like, oh, that thing is so beautiful, that thing is so cool, like, I'm so happy that I'm, here hanging out with friends, like all this kind of stuff, like if you're constantly thinking about that, if you're constantly focusing on that, that's what's going to recycle into your reality, because it's just, the point at which we're focusing, as soon as we really like let go of that, it recycles back around.
It's so interesting. Reminds me of our buddy growing up across the street, our buddy Billy Thurner. We'd go up, my brother and I, we'd sleep over at his house. He had Nintendo. We didn't have Nintendo. And he would rent a Nintendo game, and all throughout the night, he'd play this. We'd just watch him, my brother and I, we'd just watch him, see if he would win the game before sunrise. And in the morning, his grandma lived there, his Nana. And she would just start cooking breakfast, I mean, as soon as it was light out, basically. And she'd be like, oh, do you boys want, you guys want some eggs? Do you want some French toast? No, thank you, Nana. No, thank you. We're trying to be polite. Like, no, thank you, Nana. How about some pancakes then? Oh, no, thank you, Nana. Are you sure I can make you guys some bacon? And then eventually you're like, okay, Nana, okay, yeah, we'll have some bacon. And we'll have pancakes, and we'll have French toast. It's like, the more that you allowed for her to do what she loved doing best, which was showing off her cooking skills, being able to, provide happily for her grandson's friends, and like by allowing her to do that, she gave you so much more, just by saying yes to that abundance.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful how that works with the universe in the same way. You're just like, okay, I'm so happy, I'm excited, look at all this great stuff. The universe goes, oh, you like that? Here, let me give you a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
Let
and
me
I think
just keep that going.
A lot of people have some sort of abundance in their lives, but they aren't acknowledging it and they're not paying attention to it, and that's why more abundance isn't coming in. They're just like, oh, I don't have anything. It's like, no, you have something, but you have to focus on that thing that you have and be grateful.
Yeah, and they're not appreciating it. Yeah.
And then, when you're saying, oh, I'm grateful for having this, I appreciate it, you're building up that energetic field, and more to be grateful for is like coming into your life.
Yeah, it's it's beautiful. It's like you're populating some sort of territory or something. The more you say yes, okay, let's build this thing. Let's build this thing. Now you have so many more resources. Man, and it's so great because as I've been banding together with these talented minds, these people that I'm meeting everywhere, I'm banding together with these people. I'm finding more and more people who are of this higher consciousness mindset, and it's great because knowing that I have connections with them excites me to want to introduce them to the others and have them all know each other.
Yeah.
Because I just know that there's going to be Venn diagrams between each of these people.
No, exactly. And it's amazing how the universe just knows exactly what types of people to bring into your life. Like, one of my best friends, I met him in the funniest way. So, like, I have this necklace, and it's a Sri Yantra, which is this...
That's awesome.
Thank you. It's this, sacred Hindu symbol.
Wow.
I'm half Indian, and so I feel like it's... Yeah. So, sacred Hindu symbol. And I went to a party.
It's like a fractal. It's like...
Yeah, it's amazing, and it has this, like, little point in the middle. That you're supposed to focus on. It's also my phone background. So wore this necklace to a party. I wear it all the time. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, oh, the Sri Yantra, and we kind of start talking about it. And then, I leave the party. The next day, I'm at this birthday party. And I see that guy. And I'm like, Sri Yantra guy. And he's like, whoa, you're here? And I'm like, yeah, aren't you here for this birthday thing? And he's like, no, I don't even know her. And it was the craziest thing. It was insane. So the guy that I'd met the day before was literally, and this was like in the Valley. It was a party in the Valley. And then the second night was like at a bar in West Hollywood. And so he was there And so we decided to be friends, and it's just been the funniest thing because it's I think it's the most like conscious friendship I've ever had because he's also kind of like on that level, and it was just, you know, a friendship that I needed in my life because, you know, with all this spiritual stuff, you know, a lot of the answers to questions, like it's harder to ask friends who aren't on that exact path for advice on things because, you know, they haven't experienced it as much themselves. And so, you know, I have just weird things happen to me constantly that are like sometimes kind of like freaky because, you know, if what's going on in your mind is like, I don't know, again, you know, if you focus on some of the negative things, you know, that kind of stuff manifests into reality and you're like, oh my gosh, like, is this actually like happening in my reality? And so it's been helpful finding a friend who's also, you know, aware of that, all that kind of stuff, and, you know.
Plus, it's always exciting to be able to share those stories with those who will also get excited hearing that, and no doubt they will have some story that also swoops right in as an example, like, oh, that just happened to me the other day, and I was waiting to tell someone about it.
And it's so crazy because I think I told you about my whole like 777 line of coincidences when I was on the radio show. I'm pretty sure I did. But the crazy thing is, this friend of mine, 777 is in his phone number, and
of course,
it's the most insane thing.
That's beautiful.
Insane thing. And there was this one day, and it was like the day after the night of the full moon, and I just had this thought in my head. I'm like, I should FaceTime this guy about the full moon, and so I say, FaceTime Drew, and so, you know, it rings and he answers or whatever, and the first thing he says is, that full moon was crazy.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my goodness, that's insane. But the funny thing is, so he had gotten sick the day after the full moon, like with the flu or something, and I had also gotten sick the day after the full moon with the flu.
Whoa.
And I was like, okay, but he was just there alone or whatever, and I was like, you know, not at the point where I couldn't like go out and like help him get some like medicine because he was just like homesick and everything. So that's honestly like, I think how we became like buds, like good buds.
Oh my God.
Is that whole thing. And I'm like, that is so insane how mentally synchronized we were. But yeah, like, it's amazing.
It's incredible.
Well, because then you know that you're supposed to be friends with that person. You know that they're supposed to be in your life. And it's like, you know, when there's all that resistance with, you know, sometimes like people are catty or people are like, you know, I don't know, you know, it's not that great. But then when you have those kinds of like signs reinforcing like this friendship is meant for you, it's the most wild thing because you're like, okay, like God literally like approves. Oh yeah, definitely. God literally like approves of this friendship.
I love it, you know, and then you go, I wonder how many other past lives we've known each other in, you know, and what was the most recent past life that we knew each other in, and made agreements to meet up in this one.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that I'm always excited about too, is thinking, who was this person in relation to me in a past life? Who was I to them?
Have you ever done a past life regression?
No, but I really want to.
I know a lady who does them, and she's really good. And I did it once, and it was an intense. Okay, so basically, I saw like ancient Egypt and ancient Greece, and then like it was actually intense because I like, you know, in my imagination like fully saw that in like a past life I'd had a son, and it made me like literally when I, you know, got out from the past life meditation, I was like almost like just crying because I had never felt the emotion of like having to care for someone like that before, and like I felt it within me, and I'm like, that is weird. Like I felt what it was like to be a mother, and I'm like, that's so weird.
So were you in hypnosis?
Yeah, so basically before, she takes you through a series of like mental exercises where you're kind of just, you know, getting your imagination going, getting like the visual synapses like fired up, whatever. So she does that, and then she puts you into hypnosis, and then it's like stepping back, like taking steps back. So you go from, you know, where you are now to like, you know, yourself at like 15 and then yourself at 12 and like you take all these steps back and then you're in your mother's womb and then you're like in your past life. And so the whole thing is whichever past life wants to like speak to you, which is, you know, the ones that you have like lessons to learn from to like kind of like help you in this life will come through.
So what did she ask you questions about who you are or what you're doing there or any of that stuff?
Well, so it was a group session. So like you just see everything that you see and then
man, right? Another more napkins.
Napkins here.
Thank you.
The trick over here.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So right when you come out of the meditation, you have a notebook next to you and you like write down everything. And then everyone kind of like shares as a group. And it is like a sort of like emotional thing because, you know, obviously some people, you know, the whole thing is like, you know, some people like see how they died and like all this kind of stuff. And so people, you know, some people are like happy when they come out of it. They're like, oh, this makes so much sense. And then other people, you know, have realized like a source of pain that they haven't gotten rid of, like all this kind of stuff.
So everyone was under meditation at the same time? Mm-hmm. How many people were there?
Probably like 8.
Were there any that had commonalities?
In that session, I don't know. But it was actually crazy because at the meditation place that I go to, so I had gone to France and we went to Versailles. And if you've ever been to Versailles, you probably know that it's so huge and you walk a lot. And so I had like injured my foot, my Achilles tendon from like walking too much at Versailles.
Whoa.
And at this meditation class, like there was this guy who had done a past life regression and, you know, had this like past life memory of being Achilles in a past life. And literally it was just the most insane thing because, you know, right after I came back from France with my Achilles tendon injury, like I, you know, tell my meditation class about it and he's like, dude, like, and everyone, you know, because the people who did the past life regret, like everyone knew that he like literally.
This is Blythe Baines and you're listening to Inspirado Projecto.